8 beats 1. And we're looking for 117 beats a minute. I hope everyone's doing well out there. We're having a little cool weather down here in Florida right now. But it's a nice cool. It's not a freezing cool. We're ready to go. You're on? Well, excuse me. People running around every day, wondering why things are changing so fast. Don't know what to do, don't know what to say. Got so many questions to ask. Pillar to post from coast to coast. Confusion all across the land. A hidden word is what I'd like to say. But tell me, would you listen, my friend? I'm so glad I know about the blessed beauty. So glad I know about the blessed beauty. I just I wanna praise His name. Oh, so glad I know about the blessed beauty. I just I wanna praise His name. Oh, Baha'u'llah, 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 Baha'u'llah. Oh, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well out there. Yeah, as you can see, I am here all by my lonesome, but I'm not really here alone because Jeremiah, trusty Jeremiah, is over there doing the tech stuff, and Nini's here with us today. How you doing, Jeremiah? You doing good? How you doing, Nini? She's good, thank you. And hi to everyone out there in Zoom. We got a few people here in Zoom. It's too far away for me to see, but I just want to say hey to everyone and hello to everyone there in Facebook land. We don't know if anyone's with us yet there, but we hope you're doing well. I don't know if you noticed, but I got a little bit of a rasp in my voice. I had it last week. It's still here. It's getting a little better, but it's still here. So I'm going to drink some of my trusty ginger honey zinc tea if you'll just give me a moment here. Actually, that's pretty good. And as you can see, like I said, I'm here by myself. Daryl won't be with us for a few weeks. He's got some family things going on, and yeah, so I don't know if we'll ever have like a guest reader or anything for the next couple of weeks, few weeks. We'll see. We'll just see. But right now, yeah, you just gotta deal with me. And I don't guess that's I hope you don't think that's a terrible thing. I hope you think that's okay. But let's go ahead and have a prayer. I think in these trying times, maybe it's a good idea to just say a prayer for spiritual growth. Create in me a pure heart, O my God, and renew a tranquil conscience within me, O my hope. Through the spirit of power, confirm thou me in in thy cause, O my best beloved. And by the light of thy glory, reveal unto me thy path, O thou the goal of my desire. Through the power of thy transcendent might, Lift me up unto the heaven of thy holiness, O source of my being. And by the breezes of thine eternity, gladden me, O thou who art my God. Let thine everlasting melodies breathe tranquility on me, O my companion. And let the riches of thine ancient countenance deliver me from all except thee, O my master. And let the tidings of the revelation of thine incorruptible essence bring me joy, O thou who art the most manifest of the manifest, and the most hidden of the hidden. And this is a prayer by Baha'u'llah. It's one of my favorite prayers by Baha'u'llah. And there are many, many, many. So as you know, we are continuing, although we are close to coming to the end. I don't know, sometime maybe January, I'm not sure. But we're deep, deep, deep in the throes of studying Baha'u'llah and the New Era. I know you probably can't see it from that far off, but Baha'u'llah and the New Era by J.E. Esselmont. And we are in the chapter 13, Prophecies Fulfilled by the Baha'i Movement. And I got to tell you, in reading this, if you are a person of faith from, from a religious tradition other than the Baha'i faith, it certainly, this deserves a very close listen. If you happen to be a Baha'i, it deserves a close listen. If you happen to be someone who questions the value or the validity of prophecy, you definitely need to listen. I will admit that some of the things we're going to be reading today may try some of your, I don't know, your belief or your I don't want to say your faith, but we are basically told to look at prophecy in a way that may be very different from the way that you have been taught. So anyway, let's just go ahead and look into it. We started this last week, and I'm going to start with the last paragraph of the section we read last week. The life and utterances of Baha'u'llah testify that he is the promised one of all the holy books, who has the power to break the seals of the prophecies and to pour forth the sealed choice wine of the divine mysteries. Let us hasten then to hear his explanations and to re-examine in their light the familiar but often mysterious words spoken by the prophets of old. First, we're going to look at the coming of the Lord, and I think that's actually the section we finished off with, but I still think it's good to go back over it because it's got some familiar phrases from biblical prophecy that we are being told here. It might not mean exactly what you think they mean or what you've thought they mean or what you've been taught they mean. So let's read this, the coming of the Lord. The coming of the Lord in the last days is the one far off divine event to which all the prophets look forward, about which their most glorious songs are sung. Now, what is meant by the coming of the Lord? What is meant by that phrase, the coming of the Lord? Surely God is at all times with his creatures, in all, through all, and over all. So it's not like he's been gone and then he's coming. He is with his creatures in all, through all, and over all. Closer is he than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. That's a quote. Yes, but men cannot see or hear God immanent and transcendent. We can't see him, we can't hear him, cannot realize his presence until he reveals himself through a visible form and talks to them in human language. For the revelation of his higher attributes, God has always made use of a human instrument. Each of the prophets, each of the prophets was a mediator through whom God visited and spoke to his people. Jesus was a mediator, and the Christians have rightly regarded his appearance as a coming of God. In him, they saw the face of God, and through his lips, they heard the voice of God. Baha'u'llah tells us that the coming of the Lord of hosts, the everlasting Father, the maker and redeemer of the world, which according to all the prophets is to take place at the end of time, means no other than his manifestation in a human temple, as he manifested through the temple of Jesus of Nazareth, only this time with a fuller and more glorious revelation, for which Jesus and all the former prophets came to prepare men's hearts and minds. I'm going to read that again. That's a pretty important statement. And I got to remember exactly where it started because it's a long sentence. Baha'u'llah tells us that the coming of the Lord of hosts, the everlasting Father, the maker and redeemer of the world, which, according to all the prophets, is to take place at the end of time, means no other than his manifestation, meaning God's manifestation, in a human temple, as he manifested through the temple of Jesus of Nazareth, only this time with a fuller and more glorious revelation, for which Jesus and all the former prophets came to prepare men's hearts and minds. Okay, so we've explained that whole idea of the coming of the Lord. Now, this next section talks about prophecies about Christ. Be interesting to see what it says about prophecies about Christ. Through failing to understand the meaning of the prophecies about the dominion of the Messiah, the Jews rejected Christ. Now, that's pretty much, globally accepted knowledge. Through failing to understand the meaning of the prophecies about the dominion of the Messiah, the Jews rejected Christ. Abdul Baha says, and this is a long quote, Abdul Baha says, the Jews still await the coming of the Messiah and pray to God day and night to hasten his advent. When Jesus came, they denounced and slew him, saying, "This is not the one for whom we wait. Behold, when the Messiah shall come, signs and wonders shall testify that he is in truth the Christ. The Messiah will arise out of an unknown city." Hello, how's it going, Susan? The Messiah will arise out of an unknown city. He shall sit upon the throne of David. And behold, he shall come with a sword of steel, and with a scepter of iron shall he rule. He shall fulfill the law of the prophets. He shall conquer the east and the west, and shall glorify his chosen people, the Jews. He shall bring with him a reign of peace, during which even the animals shall cease to be at enmity with man. For behold, the wolf and the lamb shall drink from the same spring, and all God's creatures shall be at rest. End quote. So, thus the Jews thought and spoke, for they did not understand the scriptures, nor the glorious truths that were contained in them. The Jews thought and spoke, for they did not understand the scriptures, nor the glorious truths that were contained in them. The letter they knew by heart, but of the life giving spirit they understood not a word. Hearken, and I will show you the meaning thereof. Although Christ came from Nazareth, which was a known place, this is still Abdul Baha. Hearken, and I will show you the meaning thereof. Although Christ came from Nazareth, which was a known place, he came also from heaven. His body was born of Mary, but his spirit came from heaven. The sword he carried was the sword of his tongue, with which he divided the good from the evil, the true from the false, the faithful from the unfaithful, and the light from the darkness. His word was indeed a sharp sword. The throne upon which he sat is the eternal throne from which Christ reigns forever. A heavenly throne, not an earthly throne. I just lost my place, not an earthly one. For the things of earth pass away, but I'm sorry, I just lost it again. The things of earth pass away, but heavenly things pass not away. I should read that whole thing over. I mutilated it so bad. The throne upon which he, Christ again, the throne upon which he sat is the eternal throne from which Christ reigns forever. A heavenly throne, not an earthly one. For the things of earth pass away. Think about how important that is. Why reign on a throne that's going to pass away anyway? If you are the eternal redeemer. For the things of earth pass away, but heavenly things pass not away. He reinterpreted and completed the laws of Moses and fulfilled the laws of the prophets. Is that my phone ringing? I don't know why that's happening. Folks, hang on for a second. That has never happened before. The messages are supposed to be turned off. I don't know what's going on. Okay, we'll continue. Okay. He reinterpreted and completed the laws of Moses and fulfilled the law of the prophets. His word conquered the east and the west. His kingdom is everlasting. He exalted those Jews who recognized him. They were men and women of humble birth, but contact with him made them great and gave them everlasting dignity. The animals who were to live with one another signified, this is important, this is not about animals. The animals who were to live with one another signified the different sects and races who, once having been at war, were now to dwell in love and charity, drinking together the water of life from Christ, the eternal spring. Most Christians accept these interpretations of messianic prophecies as applied to Christ. But with regard to similar prophecies about the latter day Messiah, many of them take up the same attitude as the Jews, expecting a miraculous display on the material plane, which will fulfill the very letter of the prophecies. I'm going to say that again, that's pretty important. Most Christians accept these interpretations of messianic prophecies as applied to Christ. But with regard to similar prophecies about the latter day Messiah, many of them take up the same attitude as the Jews, expecting a miraculous display on the material plane, which will fulfill the very letter of the prophecies. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at prophecies about the Bab and Baha'u'llah. We have a question. Yes, Nini. This book, when was it written? It was written, I should know this by heart. I've said it so many times. I want to say, oh, wow. I've said it so many times, and right now I cannot remember. But it was, I want to say, for some reason, 1921 is coming to mind, but I can't swear to that. I want to say 1921, though. Yes. Okay, so I'm wrong. 1923. Are you talking about the Bible? Oh, yes. This book? No, no, 1923. Okay, yes. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at prophecies about the Bab, the forerunner of Baha'u'llah. Okay. Prophecies about the Bab and Baha'u'llah. And this is, again, the name of that section, prophecies about the Bab and Baha'u'llah. According to the Baha'i interpretations, the prophecies which speak of the time of the end, the last days, the coming of the Lord of hosts, of the everlasting Father, refer especially not to the advent of Jesus Christ, but to that of Baha'u'llah. Take, for instance, the well-known prophecy in Isaiah. If you're someone who's familiar with the Bible, very familiar with the Bible, you'll probably be familiar with this passage from Isaiah. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Here's the part you probably have heard many times. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it. I'm going to read that again because I kind of chopped that up to different in the wrong way. The everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Again, that's from Isaiah chapter 9, verses 2 to 7. This is one of the prophecies that has often been regarded as referring to Christ, and much of it may quite fairly be thus applied. But a little examination will show how much more fully and aptly it applies to Baha'u'llah. Christ has indeed been a light bringer and savior. But for nearly 2,000 years since his advent, the great majority of the people of earth have continued to walk in darkness. And the children of Israel and many other of God's children have continued to groan under the rod of the oppressor. On the other hand, during the first few decades of the Baha'i era, the light of truth has illumined the East and the West. The gospel of the fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man has been carried into all countries of the world. The great military autocracies have been overthrown, and a consciousness of world unity has been born, which brings hope of eventual relief to all the downtrodden and oppressed nationalities of the world. And I'll admit, even with what's going on now, reading this, it's like, oh, wait a minute here. But again, this is a process. This is a process. It's not like one big event and then it's done. No, it's a process. The Great War, from which 1914 to 1918 convulsed the world with its unprecedented use of firearms, liquid fire, incendiary bombs, and fuel for engines, has indeed been with burning and fuel of fire. Baha'u'llah, by dealing at great length in his writings with questions of government and administration and showing how they may best be solved, has taken the government upon his shoulders in a way that Christ never did. With regard to the titles, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, Baha'u'llah repeatedly refers to himself as the manifestation of the Father, of whom Christ and Isaiah spoke, whereas Christ always referred to himself as the Son, S-O-N. And Baha'u'llah declares that his mission is to establish peace on earth, while Christ said, I came not to send peace, but a sword. And as a matter of fact, during the whole of the Christian era, wars and sectarian strifes have abounded. I got to tell you, as someone who grew up in the Christian tradition, when I first read this and other similar things in various Baha'i books, some of it specifically from Baha'u'llah, it really, you almost get this feeling of cognitive dissonance where you have to start measuring what you've been taught with another way of viewing the writings themselves. And I welcome anyone, and I actually encourage anyone to do that. You may have been given someone else's perspective, but if you look at what these words are actually saying, you can see that this does have a real validity. Now let's go on to the glory of God. This next section, the glory of God. That's what it's called, the glory of God. The title, Baha'u'llah, is the Arabic for glory of God. And this very title is frequently used by the Hebrew prophets for the promised one who is to appear in the last days. I'm going to read that again. The title Baha'u'llah, which you hear me say over and over again, is the Arabic for glory of God. And this very title is frequently used by the Hebrew prophets for the promised one who is to appear in the last days. Thus, in the 40th chapter of Isaiah, we read, comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received the Lord's hand double for all her sins. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for your God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. Like the former prophecy, this has also been partly fulfilled in the advent of Christ and his forerunner, John the Baptist, but only partly. For in the days of Christ, the warfare of Jerusalem was not accomplished. Many centuries of bitter trial and humiliation were yet in store for her. With the advent of the Bab and Baha'u'llah, however, the more complete fulfillment dawned for Jerusalem, and her prospects of a peaceful and glorious future seem now to be reasonably assured, although those of us who are living today know that while it's not there yet, but again, this is a process. Other prophecies speak of the Redeemer of Israel, the glory of the Lord, as coming to the Holy Land from the east, from the rising of the sun. Now, Baha'u'llah appeared in Persia, present day Iran. Baha'u'llah appeared in Persia, which is eastward from Palestine towards the rising of the sun. And he came to the Holy Land, where he spent the last 24 years of his life. Had he come there as a free man, people might have said that it was the trick of an impostor in order to conform to the prophecies. But Baha'u'llah, came as an exile and prisoner. He was sent there by the Shah of Persia and the Sultan of Turkey, who can hardly be suspected of any design to furnish arguments in favor of Baha'u'llah's claim to be the glory of God, whose coming the prophets foretold. We're going to stop right there for a little bit, and I think I'll go ahead and do a song, give you something to think about with all of that. That's a lot, especially when you think about, well, no, the more I talk, the slower I go, so I'm going to stop talking. One moment, please. This is where Daryl would be doing something while I set this up. And while I'm setting this up, I have to again say hi to Sue. Hello, Sue. How are you? We're good, thanks. We're so happy to see you here. Say that again. Yeah, she could be my reading partner. That would really be good. I'm going to talk. Sue, you're being put on notice right now. Is she coming up? Sue's coming up. Come on up. This is fantastic. Today, this is a surprise guest. Miss Susan Gerstner is joining us. Oh, that's right. We got to get her mic'd up and everything. I'll tell you what. Mic her up over there, and I'll do this song while you're. What did I do? I have the other mic. Where is it? What did I do with the other mic? Uh, I don't know what I did with the other mic. I tell you what. I do have a mic. It's a handheld mic, but I have a mic there that she can use. I'm so glad you're here, Sue. I'm gonna go ahead and do this song real quick, and you can finish reading for her. I don't like that tempo. There we go. Oh Lord, was a lot going a lot was going on. Paper was falling, and Sue was helping, and Jeremiah was getting things set up. You just how long have you been back in town, Sue? Less than a week. I know people out there, they've never seen you. So I think before we continue, and we only got this one book, so I want to show you where we are. Sue, you're a snowbird, right? Okay, yeah. Which has its own snow. Yes. Okay, okay, okay. And so you've only been here a week. You might have to speak a little closer into that mic. That's a dynamic mic, and if you don't get right up on it, it's not going to pick your voice up. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like about an inch of your mouth. So I'm seeing more on the I'm seeing more on the monitor there. I mean, on the on the display. Say your name, Sue. Say your name. It's still not coming up. Well, we're going to continue anyway. What I've just finished reading, Sue, is this section on the glory of God. And of course, since she's been sitting out there listening to us the whole time, so she knows where we are. And now we're starting on the branch. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I think maybe I didn't get the other mic out of the box, so I'm going to take this off. I'm going to put this on you because the other one's probably too big for you. And this is in my pocket, so it is not comfortable in the least. I'll tell you that.
Okay. But then I can't put these on. Hold on.
Yeah, like I said, especially if you're wearing glasses like me. Let's see. How's that? Say
Um, I.
still not.
It's no good.
It's not good.
It's no good. Can you hear?
Oh, you can hear?
You can hear now?
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. The branch. In the prophecies of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Zechariah are several references to a man called the branch. These have often been taken by Christians as applying to Christ, but are regarded by Baha'is as referring especially to Baha'u'llah. The longest Bible prophecy about the branch is in the 11th chapter of Isaiah. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge, and the fear of the Lord. Righteousness um, shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros, and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah chapter 1 to 12.
No, I'm sure that I don't know. I guess let's see. Oh, Jeremiah, I don't know if I know the Facebook people can hear me without a mic at all, but I don't know about the Zoom folks. I think they're only just let me hold the hand.
We can pass it back and forth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the problem. It wasn't on.
It wasn't on. Oh, I could talk as loud as I want.
The mic wasn't on. Now, oh wow, oh my God. Oh,
Woo!
wow. And we're rolling again. Now, I'll admit I was a little bit distracted there, Sue. That section you just read all came from Isaiah.
Yes.
Okay. And uh but this was referring.
They say it's referring to Baha'u'llah, which I thought it was Abdul Baha, but
Okay, so it
yes.
wasn't referring to Abdul Baha.
No, the
Okay,
branch
okay.
they say is Baha'u'llah.
Okay, okay. Huh. Because actually I was thinking the same thing. I know Baha'u'llah sometimes referred to his son Abdul Baha as his
Yeah,
branch.
that's right.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
most
yeah.
great branch.
Okay, okay. But I guess this is just, and I hate to try and, I don't know, make sense of something that right now. Uh, please. Yes. 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 I think it's important since I'm assuming your friends are Christian. Okay. 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 Yeah, it's important to point out that um, at least I always like to say, especially for people who know that Jesus established his church through Peter, you know. Right, that's right. The Bob is the herald for Baha'u'llah, like John the Baptist was the herald for Jesus, and Baha'u'llah, in establishing, I don't even want to call it, well, the faith. He established the faith, but the job of continuing and promoting the faith was given to his son Abdul Baha, and we could, yeah, and we could spend a lot of time talking about why that was really necessary, but we won't. Yes, 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 and that's the thing that I think is hard for people to understand. Even when we say that Baha, no, it is simply a continuation of revelation, and it is really important that people understand that even when we say the greatness of this revelation, what Baha'u'llah says many times is that, of course, all the manifestations of God are equal. They come from the same source. As far as the greatness of this revelation, it primarily refers to the volume of information that is revealed for the good of mankind. And he in various ways that is expressed. I'll just say that. I don't know.
I would say if you think of the moon, it has different cycles. Sometimes it's
Oh,
thin and sometimes it's half
hmm,
and sometimes it's the full moon, but it's always the moon.
I
It's what
like that.
what we're allowed to see of the moon,
I like
what
that
we're
a
able
lot.
to see.
Did you come up with that on your own?
No.
Okay, because that is really deep.
No, I'll tell you later, but I have a friend who or I had a
I
friend.
like that. Okay, the different phases of the moon. I like that because we often talk about, of course, the manifestations of God being like a mirror. If God is the sun, the
Yeah.
manifestations of God are not the sun, but they reflect the qualities of God as a mirror can reflect the sun. And but I had never heard this thing about the
I
moon. I
think
like
it
that.
might have been Mr. Teherzadeh
Oh, okay,
who
okay,
who
okay.
he always used
Oh,
metaphors
okay,
from nature.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we better stop there because this is always around this time. We always have a time for anyone who would like to offer up a prayer or a reading of their own choosing. Show me where you stop, just because I always like to mark it.
Right there.
That's a good place to stop.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So at this time, anyone who would like to offer up a prayer or a reading or even a song of your choosing, this is that time. And again, I can't see on our Zoom screen here. Is Andy with us today, Jeremiah? Okay, all righty. Okay, yeah, I can see the frames. I just can't read the names. I just rhymed. Uh, I can see the frames of the people, but I can't see who it is. But anyone who would like to offer up a prayer at this time or a reading at this time, this is that time. So please feel free to do so. Hmm? A prayer book. Would you like to offer a prayer?
I can do it. If is there anybody out there who
There are
wants
some
to?
people in the Zoom, but I don't. Sometimes we have people that share, and sometimes we don't. Um,
Do I need the microphone?
No, your mic is. I think your mic is good enough for that now.
O thou forgiving Lord, although some souls have spent the days of their lives in ignorance and became estranged and contumacious, yet, with one wave from the ocean of thy forgiveness, all those encompassed by sin will be set free. Whomsoever thou willest, thou makest a confidant, and whosoever is not the object of thy choice is accounted a transgressor. Shouldst thou deal with us with thy justice, we are all naught but sinners, and deserving to be shut out from thee. But shouldst thou uphold mercy, every sinner would be made pure, and every stranger a friend. Bestow then thy forgiveness and pardon, and grant thy mercy unto all. Thou art the forgiver, thou art the light giver, and the omnipotent.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well, then, we will move forward. This is that time where we always like to remind people that of course Daryl's not here. Sue is now Daryl. Sue is now
I
Daryl. So
couldn't possibly be.
I cannot tell you how glad we are that you're
He
here.
is unique.
We've known Sue for a long time, and as she said, she lives in the Netherlands, and she comes here every year, right?
Every winter, yeah.
Every winter, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, um, and, and you're here for how long? You usually stay
March,
till March.
end of March.
Okay, okay. So we'll have you here for quite some time. You think you'd ever like to do this again?
Sure.
Wonderful. You passed the audition. And as always, we like to point out, and this is proof that this is just not a couple of people who, first of all, none of us have any, shall we say, religious authority as far as part of the Baha'i faith. We are simply Baha'is who have accepted Baha'u'llah as the manifestation of God for this day. And we are simply doing what Baha'is all around the world are told to do, which is teach the faith. But beyond that, we don't have any authority. We're not ministers. There are no ministers in the Baha'i faith. We either teach by sharing the content of the faith, and some people don't feel, comfortable or capable of doing that, but hopefully they teach by example. And if anyone is interested in knowing more about the faith, about the Baha'i faith, there are some well known or very authoritative websites that you can always go to. And let me get my tiny, tiny, tiny little poster here and show it. And hopefully you can see that they are, which again, with my bad memory, www.baha'i.us, www.baha'i.org,
Yeah.
I believe. Okay. www.bahaiteachings.org. And Daryl always says if you happen to be in the Clearwater area, you don't have to be in the Clearwater area because just like every other thing on the internet, you can still go no matter where you are. You can go to clearwaterbahais.org. And it's important that you know that because they have an awful lot of other teaching tools and programs and so forth. Jeremiah, who the faceless, nameless, not nameless, but faceless Jeremiah is always here helping stream the programs and so forth. He's our tech guy that handles all of that. And so there's another program, as always, there's another program that comes up after this. And this is one reason that we always try and get off by no later than 10:55 because he's got to get busy setting up the next program. But again, if you do happen to be in this area, the Clearwater Baha'i Center, which of course, I mean, we don't think of this as a church, but it does serve that purpose among other purposes. Yes, Nini.
Can I ask from a female point of view, what is the Baha'i faith?
You want me to say it? It's the faith of unity and oneness. It's the most recent revelation from God. And what I would say, you were saying about it being a continuation. I think of it as chapters in the same book. It's the most recent chapter in the book of Revelation.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
and for me, coming from a Christian background, it was amazing to find out that God still had more to say to us, that there was all these chapters more,
Yes.
and it fit so perfectly with what I knew from the Bible.
I totally agree with that. And I think one of the biggest challenges is, I'm not going to say completely dismissing, but setting aside some traditional teachings. If you grew up in any faith tradition, a lot of the traditional teachings, and I don't mean the writings, excuse me, I mean the teachings, the way they're taught, to set that aside long enough to examine, to truly examine independently, or investigate is the word we use, independent investigation of the truth, to investigate the revelation of Baha'u'llah, the writings of the Baha'i faith, and reach your own conclusions. That's especially if you've grown up in a different faith tradition, that can be rather challenging, but it is what we're encouraged to do. Sue just said she grew up in the Christian tradition. I grew up in the Christian tradition, and we both had to go through that process of investigating for ourselves. And we sit here before you today saying Baha'u'llah is the manifestation of God for this day. Yeah. Um, and there was something else. Oh yeah, when I was talking about those again authoritative websites, of course, there's also if you want to follow along in the books that we're using, you can order your own. Of course, that's easy enough to do online, but you can also get free access to the content by simply going to oceanlibrary.com with all the orgs. I keep thinking it's org or net, but oceanlibrary.com or Oceans 2.0. You can actually download that app for free on your phone or on your computer, your desktop or laptop computer. Yes.
Oceans 2 also has the facility that you can listen to the spoken word, and
I
and
I
it's
am so glad you said
and
that.
it's read so beautifully. I mean, it's got all these other religions, but if you go to Baha'i,
Yeah.
a lot of times it's read by this woman's voice that's just so lovely.
Yeah,
It's
you know what?
so relaxing
I
and
am glad you
beautiful.
said that. I've listened to that only a few. I've only used it a couple of times as far as the spoken word part of it, but the audio, yeah, the audio version of it. I've only used it, but it's built in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's built in. And so if you're someone who would like to listen while you're driving or whatever, or you just don't feel like reading yourselves, that's just one of the features of that. And also, as you pointed out, it isn't just the Baha'i writings.
Oh, so
It's
many.
writings from every major faith.
Everything.
Every major faith. You can get it all for free, have access to it for free. So that's important. I'm glad you pointed that out, Sue.
Baha'i isn't even at the top. It's way down, so you have to look it up.
Yeah, we okay. Oh boy. That's right. We're not even at the top. So okay. But it is important to point out that because we do believe that all of the major world faiths are connected, that this is something that is created and promoted by members of the Baha'i faith. But the reason is because we believe in all of the writings. We believe there's a time for them all, and we believe that they're all connected and they're part of this never-ending process of God's revelation. So this is one reason that all of those writings are in there. And with all that being said, if Daryl were here, I know that what he would say is, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, have a good week and make sure that you share the love. And I don't know how I'm going to do this, playing the guitar and holding the mic at the same time. So yes, here comes our tech guy. He's bringing the. I'm just gonna
The answer
short.
is you're not going to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just put it there. Because I'm so used to finishing with a little bit of a song. Simply because, as you know, Paula says, "O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light, and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Oh, and as we always say in the words of Baha'u'llah, watch over yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surroundeth you. Once again, let your vision be world-embracing rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Have a good week, folks. Take care.